Welcome to my little session on taking back control from the AI. Okay, it's not as fancy as it might sound. It's just the right phrase that I got. So today's session would be around uh, like adding more context to your prompts, or more like improving the prompt. It's what some call it prompt engineering. I am pretty sure you must have seen those ads on your YouTube that says, "Hey, pay up, 500 rupees and become prompt engineering experts," or something like that. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys saw after the whole boom of ChatGPT and stuff happened. So you must have noticed some of your colleagues are really good at uh, getting what they want from ChatGPT or whatever AI applications they use, and some of them struggle with it. So we'll get to some of the basic prompting stuff, or what or how you can actually control these things, or how they were trained to be responded, something like that. All right. Um, let's begin. By the way, when I'll be going through the slides, it's just a 10 slider. So, when I'm going through the slides, I want you to prepare a prompt of your own, or maybe pick one of your existing prompts. Go to your ChatGPT, pick one of the prompts that wasn't working well, but you had an intention in mind. You had an expectation that what the output should have been, and you tried prompting it with something, and it didn't work out. It could be a coding problem, or it could be a productivity thing. It could be something with creative writing. It could be even writing a small mail. Anything, literally anything. If you have, just keep it handy. We'll come to it by the end of the deck. All right. Okay. So the agenda for this prompt engineering little session is the input output relationship. What you put in is what you get, the grand exchange. And next would be how we construct a prompt. Next is some of the best practices picked from the official documentations of OpenAI and Anthropic. So those documentations, I'll also share the links, but just a quick overview about those documentations. They provide documentations on literally how to write a prompt, because it's they who have fine-tuned those big, large models, the ones that you use almost every other day, ChatGPT, or I don't know, GPT-4, or whatever that you see on the internet. And they know how what was the input data, what were the training data. So if we follow along with their documentations, we get much better results. You can literally do wonders with these models. I'll also show some really basic examples, and in the end, I'll also show one of the projects that I was working on, and how a little bit of prompting changed the whole output, code outputs and stuff. And the second last point would be hands-on practice. This is where you bring in a couple of your prompts. You can just share it over the chat for now. We can pick it up uh, during that slide, and we'll just improve it using some of the existing tools, or some of the tactics that uh, we have just gone through the prompt architecture and stuff. And last would be tools and resources. It would be just linking you back to the documentations, how to navigate through the documentation, and how to also use a couple of tools that are available uh, by both of these large companies, both OpenAI and Anthropic. They provide tools to rewrite your prompt, or more like generate a prompt for you based on some basic prompt that you provided. So they basically take all the concepts from the guidelines, and then use it to generate your prompt. All right then. Let's move away from the agenda. The grand exchange. So Here, what you ask is what you get. So here are some pairs. It's a top to bottom. You go it like that: scattered, unstructured, basic, specific, fuzzy, focused. Okay. So scattered, help me plan my tasks, and you provide a list of tasks. So in this case, if you think you're leaving a lot of room for hallucinations, or let's say you might have had an expectation in mind that it should have been a table, it should have had, I don't know, some time boxing concepts. Everyone has their own way on how they want their tasks and stuff to be planned around, or how they want their day to be planned. And if you put in something as simple as this, help me plan my tasks or help me write a code, uh, you gave it a code piece and then you just told it to do something in like in a literally a single line, something like add a new function to do something and something. Or maybe you gave it a document and then you asked it to add a complete new section, which would be maybe this slide itself. You gave this slide deck and then you just told it to add a sixth pointer. So you're leaving it, uh, you're keeping it open for uh, assumptions. You're making the model assume things, and I'm pretty sure that is not something any of us want. So a structured prompt would look as simple as list my tasks in some order of priority with estimated time and deadline. So here you're setting up the expectation. You're putting in that I want priority ordered in priority, that is sorted by priority, and I want XYZ filters, that one could be filters in XYZ columns, that is time and deadline for each. So you literally know what you want. All you are making the model do right now is just format your set set of tasks instead of generating something completely new, or generating something you haven't seen yet. So that would be more like a creative writing and stuff. You don't want creative writing in your task planning or your coding or anything that you are doing in your most of the daily life stuff. Okay. If you guys have any functions, feel free to interrupt, since I can't see the hands up and down thing when I'm on this slide. So yeah, just let me know. So second would be being specific. Similar to structured, it's just saying that you need to be specific about what it has to do. So the example here is write a JS function that sorts an array of objects by price, handling null values, and returning the top five most expensive items. So previously you just said write a JS function to sort an array. So it could be a couple of line function, and that might work for you if that is all you actually wanted. But but you can't but you can't put in a query like a prompt like write a JS function to sort an array and expect it to sort it by price or sort it by a particular value in those objects, particular property, sorry, not value, but a particular property from those objects, or handle any edge cases, or even return you any specific subset of those arrays. So you need to be specific about what you ask. Similar to, like I said, in structured, you can't you can have the model, or you can expect it to give you something which you haven't asked yet. What you ask is what you get. It's just I'm just iterating over the same point if you get it. And that would be pretty much around this session deck. We'll slowly come back to how you format the prompts and stuff. And Fuzzy, help me document my code project. You can write a much better prompt saying create a README file. So when you have just started with saying create a README file, it knows it has to write a really good markdown formatting that could probably be um, the average GitHub repository formats. And for your Node.js API, so now it knows that you're dealing with some JS scripts or I don't know, npm run commands or whatever for Node.js stuff is there. Don't know, Node something something. And you've given it sections now: tech stack, setup, steps, API endpoint table, environment variable list. You also used it for markdown formatting. So you're just letting the model know that even though I told you to write a readme.md file, which is obviously a markdown file, just making it clear that the output should be markdown, like strict markdown and nothing fancy or beyond. So you're limiting it. You are making the prompt more focused. You have given it like exact pieces of things that it has to generate. So nothing beyond will be generated, nothing more than what you have said. This is how you keep control of what you want from a chatbot. So yeah, uh, as a first section, it's simple. It's just like creating a Jira ticket, or it's like complaining about someone, or maybe it's like guiding your junior dev into doing something completely new. So I remember when I used to work in Canon projects and a couple of other projects, Jira tickets used to be like super big. The descriptions were so good that once you had the tickets, you could just work on it without disturbing anyone. Or, there were in places to have assumptions. Or it was back when I was a junior, and that those things were really helpful. So having like every expectation, the input, the output expectation, what the structure could have been of some piece of code or something like that, when everything's like laid out so well properly, it's like so easy to follow. So you have to do similar to you have to prepare similar things for a chatbot as well. You have to be super clear and specific about what you're feeding in and what you're going to get out of it. Everything needs to be communicated with. Just leave no room for assumptions. And that's pretty much it with these chat models. And you can use it for functions beyond just chatting. So we recently had a little project where we were making it generate components, and the output of the chat model is not a human to bot chat or something like that. It was more like we were inferring code from it. We extract code from it directly, and we just directly run it through a workflow or a pipeline. Um, so you can imagine of more tasks, things like huge generation workflows. What could be an example? I've worked on some, but I'm now confused. Which one should I share? I'm pretty sure many of you guys have already done some experiments around it, trying to get a chatbot generate some code, and without you like directly copy pasting that code, you just put it into a pipeline, and then you extract that piece of code, and then you directly run it. You must have developed such workflows, maybe. So yeah, these chatbots are can be used for functions beyond just chatting, like creative programming. Um,
I can add an
and
example
yeah,
if
yeah,
you want. So for Drupal folks to relate, like what Drupal AI module does, right? So it basically takes the user prompt, combine it with some other prompts, right? In a like there is a simple chatbot window where user just add some prompt, like add a field for me. It basically takes that prompt, combine it with some other prompts programmatically, send it to basically OpenAI or any other provider, and it asks for a JSON response of it. Then on the basis of their JSON response, some further code is run to execute that part. So it's
yep,
something similar.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You make it. That's exactly what I meant. You put it inside pipelines, and it's just beyond just chatting. It's like a little helper function or something. That's where agents and stuff come in. You can read about it more time. You instance, I mean the others. Sorry, oops. Yeah. So again, some of the common pitfalls and solutions. Being too vague, like we said, write some code to handle errors. Uh, just bringing back that same example about JS, where you specify the context. This is my JS code, and you also say that this is the flow of the code. Okay, let the even though you can make an assumption that the model would understand what the code is, it would still be nice or it would still be good to just let the model know that this is how the code works. Okay, so maybe a gist of it. I don't mean like writes long paragraphs of ये function ये करता है वो function वो करता है, not like that. More like this function helps with doing, just in a single liners of what a function could be doing and when it's being called could hugely help the model. I mean, it wouldn't have to go through that kind of thinking or let's say assumptions and creating assumptions over it. So yeah, we define a scope, define the context, also put out the expected behavior. Like if you're making it write a new code, you put out the behavior. Like maybe you can even put your code structure inside it as well. So uh, I do this. I'm not sure how many of you do this. So when I want chatbot or let's say ChatGPT or someone to write a piece of code for me, I usually plan how the code should work like before I put it in. Maybe I just sit with ChatGPT and decide a flow on how a code should work. Like what are the steps involved in that function? Like should it, I mean, given a input A, it should do some transformations, what those transformations should be. All these kinds of discussions are done before I make it generate any piece of code. So once I have a flow or once I have what the behavior of the function should be, I feed that to the ChatGPT model or let's say some model and make it generate the code out of it. That way, we have defined the scope. We have removed any errors of I don't know hallucination and stuff like that. That is control over the bot. Literally giving it a huge Jira ticket and telling it that, hey, this is the exact things that I want you to do. Just convert it into a piece of code, be it Python, PHP, or whatever. Now, information overload. So I used to do this thing, information overload. I used to just assume sometimes back in the days that I just feed it literally everything that I have and make it, find things on its own. So inside Claude projects or maybe even in ChatGPT, I guess you can upload now more than 5 files, right? I, I guess I don't have the ChatGPT subscription. It's just asking. I assume is. See. So you can feed in like complete little modules and then ask it to do something. In that case, there is a room for error again. We're just again creating it a room for error that it has to find the files where it has to find the related functions, the function relationships, and everything. So in a recent project, I had a inside the Claude projects, I feeded it around 15-20 files of Python and React JS mix. It's a both front end and back end application mix. And when I was prompting, I kind of specified it 5 specific files that it had to focus on. I did not say that it has to be limited to it. I just told it that these files has most of the code related to the function that I'm trying to create right now. Let's say discuss with you instance, discuss with the chatbot. And that limits the scope of search. So the chatbot now knows, okay, these are the specific files that Alphonse or whoever is talking about. and whatever functionality that he's talking about should have some kind of a relationship with some of the functions and stuff inside these 5 files that he has mentioned, or it's a function related to these files. So it gets to understand just those 5 files, but it also has the context of all the 15-20 files that I provided. So if it ever happens that it has to access a function outside those 5 files, it would just go back, or let's say pick some function from the larger context and just let you know, okay, oh, this was a function that I that you can use from this file that you haven't mentioned yet, but this function is helpful for, I don't know, XYZ things. So yeah, we broke down a complete complex request saying by limiting the context and stuff. Now, edge cases. So an example. Again, function writing. So if you remember, I said we plan it beforehand, like what should be the behavior of the function, or what should be the behavior of a code piece. And then we feed it to the model to generate the code out of it. So that transition of where you have generated a plan to code, just before the transition, you put in all your edge cases. So that discussion that you would be having with the chatbot to create that plan or the workflow, that would be where you cover in all your edge cases, or all your weird stuff with the code. Anything that might be like, the string should not be a string, even though it's coming in as a string. It should be a number, convert it to a number, extract number out of it, and then do XYZ things out of it. I don't know what not it might be, but uh, things like lists and dictionaries coming in together. I mean, key value pairs and arrays coming in together, convert some key value pair back into array, and things like that. Small edge cases that often happen inside our functions. Now, is last is I've already mentioned this. Explain how the code works in short. Just give it an idea what was the intent of you writing the code in the first place, so that maybe while it's generating, it could also make some suggestions. So that is something cool, right? You have already providing it the code base. Now you're already also providing you what the code does, and you're asking it to write an ABC function. Now, there is a possibility, or let's say in the newer chat models, they kind of also give you suggestion, or you can even ask for suggestions. Also suggest me any changes that might be required. So, given the code base, given the idea of how it works, now you're asking for a bit of suggestions on how it can be improved. So one more thing, forcing it to think and defining structures and proper outputs. So this will be the last thing in the prompting. So forcing it to think. Um, I'm not sure. Have you guys heard about the recent O1 model uh, by OpenAI? It's one of the latest OpenAI models, and it's quite expensive. It's a lot expensive because it generates a lot of hidden tokens that are not visible to us, but those hidden tokens are more like thinking wala tokens. It's just chatbot analyzing its own thoughts and processes and then going over it. So how does the whole thought thing work right now? Let's imagine. Oops, just a minute. Okay. So let's imagine I am a chatbot and I'm the Owen model, or let's say I want to think or something like that. So the user puts in a query like suggestions coming. Give me a minute. Okay. So my prompt could be as simple as given this code base. Here there would be some code or some piece of code. Create and created function something. So this something would be variable to you. Now, um, now define activity. Oops, writing the code. Mm, up, then select plan and here's a thing over it. So now what the bot is going to do is some kind of an analysis of your code. So it's going to provide the analysis as an output, right? So if you've seen um, the whole streaming output of the chatbot, that's quite literally how the outputs coming from the main model behind the servers, like inside the servers. So you have this model on the server that generates some piece of text in a streaming fashion. Okay. So when it has generated the analysis wala part, DNA analysis, now every next token after the analysis has the context of the analysis. For you, or let's say for an end user, it doesn't look like much. It's just like you're asking the bot to generate a plan, do some analysis, and write the code for me. Okay. For an end user, that's all. But for a model, it's more than that. For a model, it's not some analysis that it has done before even generating the code or before it has thought about the code. So the analysis that it has done feeds forward forward, or let's say feeds forward नहीं तो क्या बोलते हैं it matters, yeah, feeds forward, or it matters to the chatbot, or it uh, matters to the next token that it would generate, which could be the coding part. So now the code is influenced by the analysis that it's doing live or it's doing for you. So this is how you make it think. This is like some say chain of thoughts and stuff like that. I mean, there are many fancy words for all of these techniques. There are many fancy ways on how you would make it analyze something. You can look it up later. Chain of thoughts on ChatGPT or something like that, and you would find some cool techniques on how to make a model think beforehand. So here, this was a single response. I'm not like doing multiple prompts or stuff like that. So inside a single prompt, so given line 2 to 3, yeah, this is the prompt. Given the code base, create a function. Now, before writing the code, come up with a solid plan and analyze and think over it. So in the response of the bot, you would see an analysis, some plan, and then uh, finally some code. So this code is based on those analysis. Um, I hope I haven't confused many here. Anyone, anything they want to share or anything they want to ask you?
Maybe just run it over ChatGPT or something,
Oh, yeah.
as an example.
Um, there was someone who told me once, your chat GPT or whatever is like the history of you right now. Really, it's like a Google search now. Everything's like dunked into it. We have literally everything inside it. So, yep. So let's pick up. Um, right. So what is uh, I would usually take a bit more time into this, but let's just give this a try. Oh, maybe we should also. Let's have one generate without the analysis and stuff, and one with the analysis and stuff. The newer ChatGPT 4 models are intended to do the thinking process and stuff. Okay, so this is a little piece of code. I hope everyone is well versed enough to understand some HTML. Looks fine. Some PHP in here for username, password, and little success tools. Whatever. So now you also have a better idea of what it's going to write. I guess login pages are similar in every case. Um, I don't know. It's written something a bit more fancy, I guess. Welcome to PHP. You have the PHP
It added some
index
validation,
protect.
I think, in PHP script.
Sorry.
In
Protect.
PHP script now, it added some validations at least.
Yeah, it has some more extra logic and stuff. Yep. So in this case, we gave it some time, or this time to write its formula. This you could see it as a little math formula or something that you are first preparing the formula and then you run it, and this would be your output. Here you are just speculating the output. You're just saying, okay, yeah, this might be the output. 1 plus 1 is obviously equal to 2, but here it would decide what is 1 and what is plus and again what is 1, and then it would decide what does a plus sign even do, and then it would say it's a 2. The output could be like same, but now think for more complex stuff. Now this was something as simple as write code for a simple HTML PHP login page. Now in case of our Drupal modules and stuff, it could get quite complicated. Given this dot module file, write a function to do write a method or something to do something. And in this case, you could give it just a bit more idea around it, and then also add, think about it. So think about the output. think about whatever you write before you write. In that case, these analysis and stuff uh, gets helpful for the model itself. It's not for us. I mean, you could read these things and find it helpful, but then from from a model perspective, it's way more helpful for a model than us.
Yeah, and Alphonse, I think this also gives security consideration, right? The last chat window.
Oh, sorry, I closed that by mistake. You were saying?
So the last one also give. So this one does not have any
Uh,
security considerations, right?
yeah, this one's like you asked for simple, it literally gave you simple one. So the previous one had yeah more configurations and stuff going around. Yep.
Mm.
That was with making it think or forcing it to think.
Yeah, I think things like session cookies or maybe remember me functionality, which is usually there with login page. It would not be
Mhm.
able to. It would probably not be able to think about it on its own. You may have to
Mhm.
give it more uh, contextual input about what you want.
Yeah, I hadn't added it into the ChatGPT prompt right now. Like the
Uh,
previous 3 points that we just discussed about making it break down smaller, I mean, giving it the idea and context of things. But yeah, that would definitely help a prompt. Definitely help a bot to come up with stuff. So final again, again the framework. So how do you construct an application? So here's a simple basic prompt. Like, should we like run it live and right away? Um,
Yep.
create an embedded log. Okay, I'm not a React guy right now, but sorry, someone saying
Yeah, Alphonse, we can run it directly.
one second. So I'm not a React guy, but I'll we'll have a HTML PHP wala thing right now. It's okay. So instead of React, imagine it HTML PHP. So the first thing for what you are doing or anything, sorry, for who and why, creating an embedded login page for the React app. Okay. You could have just said write a login page React code or something like that. You could copy paste it, write the rest of the I don't know adapters and whatever is required, but just give it to your PHP React app main wala app file and something like that, and let it know that this is my file. I just want to add an embedded login page, and it would do much better work at that. We we told it to literally write a simple HTML PHP dot page. That's a lot of CSS. Anyway, so you have a little until it finishes its generation. Look into the next thing: constants and must have. So you have created a login page, but you want it to be accessible because you're creating it for a healthcare center or something like that. So give it a theme. That would be a requirement. Make it look minimalistic. The whole prompt could have been the same thing, right? Instead of now wasting time and making it generate the same thing, I could have just said make it make it accessible. Theme. And what is it? Right. Theme. Oh, we can also do that thinking while I think. Before we'll come to it. Expectations. We'll add. There are so many things to actually add into it. Okay. Before it. Mm, mm, I think. Copy. So we'll just anchor it to the bottom. Then we'll add our requirements in here. We are like almost nearing our time, so I'll just jump to the expectations as well. So detailing, it's almost similar to requirements, but you're also putting in more expectations around the forms and stuff. So you have the email password field. So in the previous prompt, either in this prompt, we didn't mention what fields we want. It's just assuming that we needed an email password field. What if that's not what I wanted? What if I wanted name, email, and password? Instead of a different new prompt or making it ask again to edit the whole code, it could be a single prompt. So you're saving your own time in this, and you'll also be getting an output that would be more acceptable to just copy paste into something. Oh, so what fancy things do they have? WC, and password strength. Let's wait. Uh, So which also means change password, which second. You don't need a password strength indicator on your login page, obviously. And the expected user flow and behavior. So the last one is how do you want the code to transition? So click on the password button. We need to have some kind of verification, right? We just leaving any room for matlab, maybe avoiding it, making assumptions here. Um, okay, that should be it. I don't know. Does anyone say congrats when they log in?
Maybe
uh,
direct to homepage or their profile page, something like that.
yeah, success. Yeah. So if you let in, okay, use it as a give a redirect. Mhm. I don't know. We should have congrats page. Congrats, you remembered your password. Something like that. Anyways,
Add a
so
success message. Add
sorry.
add a success message for congratulations then.
Yeah. It's okay. I guess this should be enough as a prompt. So this is how extensively you can write a prompt. Now, prompts can be way more complicated than this, but our current demo scope is quite small, so keeping it small. So a step-by-step breakdown, login page should be minimalistic with relevant white color scheme, a form, types their password, link button for get, which will redirect to home. So it has got the flow right. Your version contains password strength indicator, some requirements. So accessibility considerations. Here there is something you could be more specific on what kind of accessibility and stuff you're looking into inside the main prompt. It's design consideration. So let's just take a quick look. And the login.php looks like styles embedded. You have a little login container with name, email, password, and a little string. Indicate there. So, string the data shouldn't have been. There are a couple of issues here, but let's see. Yes, password string the data works. So fancy data. Uh, it, I guess you would have to try it a couple of times maybe. Mm. Okay, it's making an assumption that we already have a home page because we said it to redirect it to home page. We didn't tell them to create an home page as well. Since our main task only involved of creating the login page, it has restricted itself in just writing the login page. I don't know, it could be a good and a bad thing if you're like starting from scratch. This could get confusing for you, but if you are if you already have a project and you're editing it, this could make sense. I'm not going to go into the code because it doesn't look right away. But yeah, with minor modifications, you can make it to however you want. Um, anyone, anything, anything to share, or I'll move ahead. Any suggestions? I guess
Mini has added something in chat, basically writing a prompt and best ways to give us to find what we exactly want from the boards, assuming a bot is paid. But there is another question: if providing the bigger prompts to bot to explain whole context, then will bot consume the more credit than simple prompts, and will it take more time to analyze the prompts?
I will come to it. Yep. I'll think about it and I'll find. So some of the best practices from the documentation of OpenAI and Anthropic, they both of them, their first line in their documentation. I mean, it might sound weird, but it literally says, "Be clear and direct." That's literally what both the documentations say in their first page. Like, be clear of what you want and just be direct of what you want. And second is using tags, XML tags. A quick example. Mm, yeah. Let me see. Oops. So oh, the free version doesn't have edit. Okay. Skin. Okay. Okay. So the point of using tags is it becomes way easy to extract stuff. Okay, maybe HTML, putting HTML inside a tag wasn't a good idea. But I think you can just use a unique tag, something like say my code, and then write a small regex that picks up everything between my code. And then you can extract this specific part of your response. When you're sending it to when sending it through the API and stuff, tags are like super helpful. You can have many more sections in here. Right now, we're just limiting it to bit of thoughts while a tag and code while a tag. So that is what using tags mean. Third is examples. Uh, some call it few shot learning or few shot examples and multi-shot stuff. So in examples, I can't show you examples here, but I think I can show it to you in the dashboard. So um, the respond with I mm, something more complex. Mm, yeah, Jason. There. So now you have a response here. So right now this is not pure JSON. I mean, you will have to detect the JSON out of it. So inside this playground itself, I'm going to add an example. I'm going to convert this into an example. So this would be an example. Now, they had an option for add pairs. User assistant. Okay, it was right here. Mm, Now you see that what just happened. So in the example, we modify this would act now as an example. We literally modified the assistant's response. Now sending back any prompt, this assistant response would be taken into consideration, obviously, and it literally starts with a uh, curly braces and ends with a curly braces instead of making it fancy with a JSON and saying all that extra stuff. We are literally just telling it to reply in a pure JSON. So right now, this is like a pure JSON. Taking this response, you can literally parse it into your code without any extra processing stuff. So this is a really the most simple example of few shot. I would suggest few shot examples can be quite big, like really big. So I would suggest you to look it up a little bit. And yeah, you cannot use few short examples inside ChatGPT and stuff unless you put the example inside the main prompt itself. So for example, in this prompt case, you would have to add a couple of lines that say this is the example output and you provide an example output. That's not like a true few shot, but it works. Matlab, it at least gives the model a direction on what the output would be like. Mhm. So yeah. Next one, many of us have already seen it. Give it a role. You must have seen examples on the internet that says act as a software engineer and do this, or act as a content writer and do this, or something like that. Just let's see if the output changes significantly. If we a expert in expert in writing each code. Mm, Yeah. So if we're giving it a role right now, so usually if you're using the API and stuff, the role related, I mean, such instructions would come under the system prompt, the prompt that comes before the assistant and user prompt, the system prompt. And in this case, in case of ChatGPT, you just put it inside your prompt and it will work. Uh, Not super efficiently, but it will do the job. It's going to write the same thing, but it would be more technical. Instead of telling you all the fancy English grammar and words, it would be more technical in whatever it does. Because right now it has the role of a software engineer. It's going to act like a software engineer. Software engineers are so technical. Anyways, so second last, make it think. I had already shown it to you that how thinking helps. And the last is create change flows. So your prompting could go in a following order. Following a couple of examples that I picked up from one of the documentations. I don't remember either OpenAI or Anthropic. So you make it research, create an outline, draft, uh, draft a code. You can edit it, and or you can make it edit, then finally format it out. So this could be more like a prompt flow or a process that you have to follow here to make the model follow. Or this can work in both ways. You can either write a prompt that does it all, or you can iteratively prompt a model to do each of these steps. Um, so yeah, now I'll pick up any questions, anything that you guys have. Mm, basically, yes, so
Yeah, I had a small question, that is, if we are supposedly having a conversation, started a conversation with, let's say, 5 files that I have in my modules, okay? So
mm,
I am optimizing it further. I am working on it further, okay? And the entire message length gets long. So we know that it is not good to keep such long messages in the conversation with the chats, because they
yeah.
tend to lose the context, and
Mhm,
also there are certain bounds of limitations with it. So if I
mhm.
am like starting a new chat with it, then the AI will lose all the context that I've talked about in the
Yeah,
past, like for
obviously.
this conversation. So is there a workaround for it, or how do I link the previous context to this? Something like that.
So there, one of the workarounds that I have seen people use, let's say, I don't know, I guess someone had suggested it that create a canvas. In case of ChatGPT, I guess it would be a canvas. Create a canvas that encapsulates everything that you have done so far, and then take that canvas along with your 5 files forward to a new chat. That is one way, but I'm not sure how good but it won't be that good as continuing a chat itself. Um, so that's why I use projects in Claude. I just add like all the files to the project's context itself so that it doesn't bother me about copying over the files. And whenever a new file gets edited, I just change it in the main context, and that context is now accessible to every other chat in that Claude project.
Oh, so
Mm.
that means if I have certain files in the project knowledge of, let's say, Claude, so no
Mhm.
matter how many new conversations that I may start, it will still have the same context, right?
Yeah, the newer context of that project.
Okay, okay, got it. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, many. I mean, obviously, all this extra prompting will take up credits, but think about this way. You're anyways going to make the bot rewrite or edit a lot of code in the end of the day. So why not just have your main prompt so clear, so concise that you don't leave it any space for errors? That way, you're basically kind of saving credits in editing and rewriting and editing and rewriting down uh, I mean, yeah, the next phases. And yeah, it will also take more time. Longer chats definitely tend to take a lot of time. So even even longer prompts would take a lot of time. You might even get annoyed when you're feeding in large files and then you're writing huge prompts for it and so on. So if yeah, I was hoping someone could share any prompt or anything that we could optimize right now, like on call live. Yes, Amit. Good.
Alphonse, actually, I wanted to ask a question. Is there an AI solution that can assist in improving accessibility compliance?
Um, I didn't get a question completely.
I'm asking
Uh,
about accessibility
uh-huh.
compliance, like WCAG and Drupal websites. So, is there any AI solutions for that?
I
Like,
am not sure. We'll have to look on that. I mean,
Uh,
I haven't specifically worked with a lot of accessibility stuff.
Amit, you are now jumping the gun. So, like Alphonse mentioned, you need to give complete context, right? So you need to go with more details. Like we want to do it in a Drupal project. We want to do it in a generic way, right? And basically, you want something like just something comes in, AI check the site and tells like what are all the AI accessibility problems and how to solve them, something like that, right?
yes, actually, I just wanted to save time for, we get a lot of accessibility checks and implementation. So, I just wanted to check if there is any solutions for that.
I don't think like there is any specific AI tool for that. Definitely, we will need to do Google search for it.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
mean, technically, Alphonse, maybe we can put the project files in Cloud as a project and then ask it to find
make it
accessible
accessible.
tools
Yeah.
and then it may report it back. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm sure there would be AI tools and solutions available in the market, Amit, which will need to be researched around because
Mm.
there have been AI audit tools or WCAG compliance audit tools available in the market. I'm sure they're working on they're also looking at leveraging AI to find uh, to find issues as well as recommending fixes for them.
Yes, actually, it's more about, sometimes what happened there, we find false positives, in our tools like we are using. So we just wanted to avoid like whatever issues there are, they are like genuine ones. So in recent projects, we face such issues. So they were false positive. So I just wanted to check like, yeah, if there is any help. But yeah, I got your point. Thanks.
All
Uh,
right. I'll
sorry.
just quickly. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, I was replying to Amit's questions. There is a Axe tool I have recently used in UNICEF LC, and yeah, there are two types. Like you can manually check as well. So, and tool also gives AI related issues for accessibility. So yeah, we can explore them, and we also have accessibility audit checklist. So maybe we can connect offline and discuss it more.
Archana, that is fine. I just wanted to, AI to be used for that. That's what my point is. I know we have been doing
AI tool
accessibility.
is there. No? X tool is working for using AI.
Okay.
Archana, maybe you can
Um.
post the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
All right, then I'll quickly take you through. I mean, we are a bit of overtime, but I'll quickly take you through some of the prompt generators. Um, yes, with it, no problem. All right, here's a quick. So both of the OpenAI dashboard and the Anthropic dashboard provides you with a little prompt generator thing. So you just have to put in your task in there, and it generates you quite a comprehensive prompt. So let's give it a try. Um, convert GPT. Jeez. Okay. I don't know. I'm not being creative right now, but let's see what it does with a such a simple prompt. Oh God, it really did. Okay. So it just generated you a whole big prompt for the task. So these are like these are system prompts. So convert the given PHP code into equivalent JS code. What are the steps? So if you remember the analysis and thinking part, it's doing that right now. So analyze the PHP code, identify some standard function. Okay. And you have the output format. Um, so if you remember, like what should be the expected output and so on, and the examples as well. I should have showed this earlier, actually. I mean, this looks way better than any of the examples that I did in the demo. But yeah, little examples of how a PHP code could be transformed into JS code. Oh, they actually have provided two examples. So that provides it consistency in the output and some final notes or let's say rules and stuff like that. So yeah, this is like a really fancy, good prompt. You actually saw right now that all I wrote was convert PHP to JS, but it did a ton of things. Whether it gave you set of rules. Now you could take this prompt further, add more steps or add more notes and examples to your need or how you want it to be your project specific. So that was OpenAI's prompt generator. Now, Anthropic has a bit more fancy thing going on. They came up with these prompt generators way before OpenAI did. So we are the regular prompt generator, which does the same thing, but uh, okay, this is a bit difficult to use right now because uh, it has to be in a specific format and all. Let me see. Minute. To convert. Hmm, good. Take we have variables. Do this tools. The output will be much. Put in your problem in here or whatever that you need to improve in your prompt. So it looks like a whole 6-step process extracting. Oh, you can also see what it's actually doing right now in the backend. Oh, it has given it a role as well, I think. You're a skilled programmer tasked with converting. Isn't that nice that we just went from a single line to such a comprehensive code or a prompt that could, with, I don't know, with minimal promptings, you could now generate really good stuff out of this. Okay. So let's see the prompt. Okay. So sample prompts. Yes. The dashboard might look a bit confusing for folks that are new, but believe me, it actually is quite easy once you start using it. But you're a skilled programmer tasked with here's some PHP code, follow the steps. It's almost similar, but a bit more rules on how it should do the things. Mm, which was simply following this rules by the conversation. Okay. And inside examples, these would be used as few short examples probably as an input output. We are way over time. That's it with prompt generators. These are clouded projects that I've shown many times. So this is one of the projects with you can see how many number of files that I'm dealing with here. One, two, three. I'm not even going to count. This is definitely more than 25. So, and it still has half of the memory left to add more context. So this is one of the prompts that I'm using in here, and it has worked out for me really well. So I've asked it to make really small, manageable changes every time when I ask it to make some change in the whole code base and stuff. So this prompt was generated from Anthropic's prompt generator, and then I um, further modified it a little bit for my use case here. Um, I can share the prompt, but it's quite a generic prompt. I've been using it for a few other projects as well. And finally, the prompt engineering documentation. You can find it in here. I'll share it in the chat as well, post this call. It has many cool examples on how you can transform your prompt into something that would actually work out very well. So yeah, prompt engineering, they have a dedicated page for it. Sorry. And Anthropic also has a much more complex thing going on. They have way more things covered in here, which you can look into it. Yeah, examples, the chain of thoughts thing, the role. So different models have slightly different way of prompting, but is- but but a good big expressive generic prompt should work out for most of the models. So that's it, guys. I'm sorry I took like 15, 16 minutes extra today. Feel free to throw in any questions if you have. Yeah, we can do that. Mm, Yep. Thank you everyone for joining. Anyone, any questions? That's it. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Sai.
Thank you for the session, Alphonse, and thank you for doing this. And yeah, if anyone has any
Yeah,
questions, feel free to
I'll
in the chat or like reach out on Slack, I would say, and maybe we can wrap up the call for the day and have a follow-up session.
I'll send my UPI link in the group. You guys can pay me $100 for the session.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like that YouTube ad. No, every time I see that ad, I get so annoyed for some reason. I'm not sure. But if you one thing that you should understand from prompt engineering, it's just all about writing expressive prompts or expressive stuff. So yeah, if you are going to pay 100 rupees to that YouTube guy who is going to give you a class just to write expressive prompts, I mean, I don't know. Yeah.